Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to the Gray Area Spotlight. My name is Alex, and we're here with Sam Blacky,
Hi.
who is in a car.
Yes.
What's up, Sam?
Hi, guys. Yes, I just landed in Mexico City, and I'm currently driving to my house, and I'm hopping on with you guys.
Nice. Mexico is like one of your favorite places in the world, isn't it?
1,000,000%, specifically Mexico City, too. And I'm a beach girl, so it's weird. You wouldn't think that I would love this place as much as I do, but oof, I almost moved here like 3 times.
What do you like so much about Mexico City?
The people, the food, the restaurants, the music for sure. The music is number one. The clubs are incredible. Literally, like Maya Warrior started here, so things like that. And it's super green and like beautiful, and also like kind of looks like Barcelona. It's the coolest.
Love it. So I always like to get back into people's background and talk about what your parents were listening to when you were a little kid and how that influenced your musical DNA. Can you tell me about that?
Okay, I would love to, and I'm dying to make a remix of INXS, which I just saw someone do. I got an email and I'm like, oh my god, how did they get the rights? But my dad and mom were hardcore INXS. If you don't know who they are, they're like an iconic Australian rock band. Kiss, ZZ Top, throwing it back. My mom.
This is so 80s.
Yeah, my mom loved Michael Bolton, so a little cute romantic stuff in there. Yeah, I would say what stands out 100% in my head is INXS every car ride all the time.
It's funny you say INXS because even though INXS is an electronic band, there's something Depeche Mode kind of electronic about them that makes sense for a dance music fan to have in their back catalog of music influences.
I love that. I mean, I literally am on another level obsessed. I'm obsessed. I've seen every documentary. I've seen I lived in Australia for 6 years, and out there they had a TV show that was the only really aired there, and it was a series on where there's actors that did the INXS story, and I was so obsessed with the actor that played Michael Hutchins, and I'm obsessed with him and their story, and just crazy obsessed.
I love this thread. This is amazing.
And AC/DC too. All Australians, man. I don't know why my dad just loves Aussie bands, and so when I went there in Melbourne, there's actually a street. It's a laneway. It's a tiny street, and it's called AC/DC Laneway. And they have a tiny bar there. I forget the name. God, I want to say Cherry Bar or something. And it's where they first ever played. So I'm deep in the Australian rock.
Okay, so what did it start to look like when you first got it? When you started developing your own taste in music?
So I went to Santa Barbara, UCSB for college for a semester or two, and then I didn't really like it, so I went to UCLA. Once I got to LA, I met a bunch of friends, and my squad kind of was the cool music kids, and they still are, Jonah Berry. He's a huge manager. He started Gotta Dance Dirty. Trevor Bones, Trevor Moffat, he's still a DJ and very much in the industry. Just really cool guys like that. Shaylin, Jonah's wife. But anyways, they're the ones that got me into it. And we used to listen, love, Cut Copy. Who else? We loved Ghostland Observatory, Boys Noise, Sirkin, just really, really cool shit. And, they're the ones, definitely Justice. We just listen to it all the time, and they really got me into house music.
That's so funny. There's all these people of a certain age, myself included. That's my entire 20s right there. Was all early 20s was all Bloghouse.
Yeah.
Shit. So I love to hear this. So you moved to Australia after that, right?
Yes.
Why?
So I just wanted to go study abroad for 1 semester, and then I was obsessed with it. I loved it. I stayed one more. I ended up graduating out there and then staying for 4 years working. And I actually worked in the music industry.
Right, you did. And you said the first thing that you went to in Australia was Stereosonic.
Yeah. No. Yeah.
And you ended up working for them.
Yeah. So like a week into being there, I met like this hilarious, outlandish guy who was my best friend, still is to this day, and we lived together almost the whole 6 years. He was so funny, Sammy Prosser, just a legend. He like ran a bunch of nightclubs in Melbourne and was just like a wild party boy player. And he took me. It was like an hour drive because my school was on the Gold Coast and Stereosonics in Brisbane. And we went there in a limo. We're like drinking, got wasted. I ended up losing him. And it was like a whole thing, but it was my first festival in Australia and it was like a weekend and it was so fun. I ended up running into other people that were study abroad students. So thank God. But that was later, much later down the line that I started working with them. So, when I graduated, I moved to Melbourne and I started working for a really cool marketing company. I got my degree in marketing, and one of the clients was Chupa Chups, like these lollipops. It's like Tootsie Pops over there. And I was like, yo, I got it. They're like, we want like activations. We want to do cool marketing. And I was like, okay, everyone is rolling or whatever at festivals. Everyone wants lollipops. We got to get into festivals because I just wanted to go to them, you know? And so we ended up doing all these insane activations, like the most absurd things. I had like a giant balloon microphone that was a Chupa Chup, and I interviewed all the DJs backstage. We had girls throwing them off the stage and passing them around, and had like a cherry picker thing, whatever, where you like can go up and like watch from above. It was nuts. So that's how I first got into it. And so I did the whole Stereosonic circuit, and then ended up just partying so much with the DJs. I think it was Sirkin. I ended up staying with him and on the last run, and I didn't go back to Melbourne. And we partied like for a couple of days before they all went home, and I got fired from that job.
I love how you weaseled your way back into the festival scene through your marketing job, and you found a way to do it legitimately.
It was my
That's
idea. They're like,
brilliant.
we just need a cool campaign for Chupa Chups. I was like, music festivals.
So brilliant. So were you always aiming to end up on the other side of things and become a DJ or producer, or did that happen organically?
No, that happened organically. Because I always loved music, and like even back to like high school days before I even electronic music, like I always was the one with the iPod that played the music for any party. Like, so I knew I had good taste in music personally. But no, so I actually, after I got fired from that job, I got a new job, with my friend John Hanlon. He's also super famous. He owns and started a company called Concrete Agency in Australia. I think he since has done a couple more things. I'm pretty sure he's married to DJ Helena, who was super big back then in Australia. And so I was like a booker. So I did the bookings for all of his clients, and he had like specific rights to like, he did a bunch of the Australian DJs, like Stafford Brothers. I want to say like Will Sparks. I can't remember exactly everyone, but he also had like exclusive rights to touring for like Deadmau5, Laidback Luke, so like big guys. So I met all those guys, and would kind of be involved in their touring sometimes. But so I saw the back end of it much more, and that's actually when I moved back to America. What I wanted to do was manage or something of that sort, be an agent. And it kind of just changed. I mean, I started DJing for fun in Australia, like my last year that I was there. Like the guy I mentioned, my best friend Sammy Prosser ran a bunch of nightclubs. So my first show of my entire life, when I didn't know what the fuck I was doing, was opening for Eric Price. It was ridiculous.
That must be nerve-wracking, being the first time you're going on stage
Every
and opening for one of the biggest
single song, the beat matching was off. Every single one.
Trial by fire.
It was horrific, honestly. But I got a photo with him, and it still pops up in my memories, and I'm like, damn, that's really cool.
So what happened when you came back to the States? Like, did you immediately jump into DJing, or did you just keep pursuing things on the other side of the industry?
No, so random. I asked around a couple of friends in the music industry if they could point me to like a manager or an agency, and everyone was kind of like, eh. And then one of my friends, Scott Russo, he's a rock star. He's like the lead singer of Unwritten Law. They're like the OG, like Blink-182. he
Yeah.
at the time, his daughter Kaylin Russo, who's also now a really famous musician and singer, she was modeling for a small agency that was really successful, and he was like, just meet up with this agent. And I'm like, but I don't want to model. And he's like, it doesn't matter. She knows everyone in LA. Like, I don't know. She could point you in the right direction. So I met up with her, and she was like, dude, no, like, I can help you with DJing, but like, you have to model for us. Like, well, you will kill it. You have like the typical California beach girl look. Like, you'll crush it. And I was like, what? I was 25 and I was shooting with like 16-year-old kids, like for like Abercrombie and like Skechers. But, so that helped. I mean, that helped. Then I started getting a lot of bookings to DJ, like model DJ events. So like, for example, like, Versace has a party in Miami, so they want a model to wear the clothes and
Right.
DJ. I did tons of stuff like that, and it really took a really long time for people who were actually there to see me, and it kind of spread word of mouth, guerrilla marketing style, where clubs and people like that were like, no, Sam's a really good DJ, like she's legit. And I started weaning off that, and then completely cut the ties.
That must have been a difficult transition to go from modeling into DJing, and like the kind of DJing that you were doing while you were a model, into like DJing as like the craft and the art of DJing. Like, and I know you've said that before. What was that like personally for you to have to deal with some of the stuff that you had to deal with?
I mean, in terms of the shows I was playing when they were like model DJ gigs, I hated them. They were freaking awful. I was like DJing in stores, and like, you know, I was background music, but I really just used it as practice to like perfect the craft. So that
Right.
was great. And the transition, I mean, it was awful. Like, I still feel like I'm going through it, and it's been 5 years or something. Like, the first people to believe in me and sign me on were Aida, which, you know, Fisher and Chris Lake's team, Dombresky, Noizu, all those
Yeah,
guys.
I
And
know.
they were really hardcore with the like, delete everything you've ever done modeling. Like, it's gone, it's dust. And I was like, okay, like, I understand. And they're like, you're going to take a massive hit and income and all this stuff, but like, it's worth it. And they helped guide me that way. But even so, it was really hard. And then got easier, got more bookings, got legit bookings. And then, you know, there's still people. I mean, literally, there's like an ad for my show at Dare this weekend in South Florida that they're running on Facebook, and I just read the comments, and they're all just like awful, like, she's just not a DJ, like blah blah blah, the same shit. And it's been really, really hard, even with my friends in the industry, like, not going to name names or anything, but, you know, I have a lot of friends who are successful DJs and producers, and like, they didn't want to help me. They didn't want to book me for support. They didn't want to really touch me until it was like, I clawed my way through, like, to a point where I'm legit. And now now things are different, but it's been a very, very long, in my eyes. I mean, I'm sure it takes people longer, and I'm lucky, but 5 years of this shit, and it's still, I still deal with it. So, it's definitely been a process. My number one advice that I did not listen to from everyone was
Yeah.
music first, be a producer. And I was like, no, I'm booked like 100 and 120 shows a year. Like, I'm getting great fees. I don't need it. And that was an idiot move on my call. So, definitely creating and producing my own music is helping a lot with that stigma. But, you know, some things you just can't really shake for a while or ever. It is
Yeah.
what it is.
Well, that's just something I wanted to ask you about too. Was you were a DJ for a long time first before you started releasing music, and I was going to ask you if you thought it was advantageous at all, but you didn't. Why? Why do you think that made things harder for you?
Because I was just naive and dumb, and I just didn't know, and I was like arrogant, I guess, because I really had like 120 shows a year, and I was making great money, and I was like, no, like, I'm chill. I don't need to make music. I've tried learning Ableton probably 5 or 6 times before I stuck with it, and I was like, I hate this. I don't get it. It was like it was like Chinese to me. Like I had no idea. And that was frustrating because, like in school and things like that, like everything came pretty easy to me. I was a straight A student my whole
Yeah.
life. So I was like, what the fuck? Like, how do I not understand something? And it was so tedious and frustrating that I was like, I just kept being like, no, I don't need it. And kind of pushed it off as long as I possibly could, which I definitely regret, but living,
Hey, stuff that shit happens, right?
timing is everything, and maybe I wasn't ready and it wasn't meant to be, and we're here now, so.
Where was your aha moment? Like, when did it like click for you
COVID.
that like, oh, I can do this?
COVID. Lots of practice during COVID, and also my management. I had then switched to Range Media. They were great. They were like, dude, you have to. It's the next step, and you're gonna like die out without music. So I really cracked down during COVID, and that's when it all blossoms.
So speaking of that, like your production, you've gone from like being primarily a DJ to learning how to produce, to releasing your own music on your own label, to getting signed to Repopulate Mars, and then being named one of the top 100 most influential producers of the year by 1001 Tracklist. That is quite a fucking progression.
It was so sick.
Like, what does that say about your ultimate belief in yourself?
I mean, look, I'm like any artist, I would assume, let me rephrase. I internally and naturally am a confident person. I'm outgoing, I'm outspoken, and I'm like, yeah. But on the inside, I'm a Cancer. I don't know if you guys are into all that, but yeah. I'm a Cancer, very sensitive. I'm an artist. I'm very insecure and fragile and scared. I worry. I've got anxiety. I've dabbled with a lot of anxiety and stress and depression in the past, and so it's definitely given me confidence and really helped me to be like, okay, I can do this, because Repopulate was always a goal of mine. I was kind of bummed the first EP. No one really wanted to sign it. That's why I made my own label. I didn't necessarily want to, so that kind of bummed me out a little bit. But it is what it is. Also, the sound is completely different now. It's kind of weird because I feel like most artists spend a lot of their life and their time with the craft mastering their sound and then coming out as the artist. And I did the opposite. I'm like doing it as I go. So it's, I don't think it's necessarily the better route at all, but it's what I've done because I wanted to put music out. But I mean, you could hear the music is completely different, and I don't play any of my songs from my first EP. And then to have Repopulate, I mean, Lee Foss and the Repopulate team and everyone that's put records out on that is like, I look up to them, just the same as I did with everyone at Aida. Like, they're fucking icons. And I definitely cried when I got the news. I was so stoked, and I was like, thank God. And so I have a lot more confidence after that. This EP with Thrive, I'm super excited about, and there was a lot of other people interested, which was amazing because I've never had that before, and they were like amazing labels, like Deep Root, and just really cool, amazing, talented people. And I feel very lucky. And this next one that's already being pitched around is kind of blowing up too. So I'm really excited. I'd say my confidence has gone up for sure, but I'd say I'm still an insecure little artist.
I mean, I feel like every artist, to some degree, deals with imposter syndrome.
Oh, that's a good word. That's a good word. I forgot about that. I have that. I still have that. An aha moment for me there was literally only this year at New Year's when I opened for Alesso. He's fucking amazing, but different style than me. But it was still like one of my biggest accomplishments. I think it was like 8,000 people, the biggest show I'd ever played. And I was like, fuck. And the crowd like loved it. And that was like when I was like, okay, like I belong here with like these big dogs. But I still feel it. But I definitely felt it every single show I played the last 5 years.
Yeah, it's understandable, but it's nice to hear that there's been some validation and you feel like you've gotten to a place where at least some of the time you feel like, hey, I do deserve this, and it doesn't matter if I play what the next person plays, the person before me plays, people are going to be here for what I'm
Yeah,
doing, and
yeah.
that's
And
fantastic.
like getting the residency in Vegas a couple years ago with Sophie Tucker and playing with them was amazing. I played with them in LP a couple times. It was amazing, open for Fisher and just really cool shows and opportunities. But I still was like, I still didn't feel like I belonged there. So yeah, it's taken a long time, and playing with Francis is so fun. And I'm just such a big fan of his, and he's an inspiration to me for sure, especially with the sound and Diplo. It's
Yeah.
been a really good year so far, and a good year or two before that. But yeah.
Well, let's talk about, you mentioned Francis, and I want to talk about your sound and the evolution of your sound in such a short time. Your recent music has really taken on this, like, I don't want to say softer, but it's more refined and more globally inspired than what you were putting out at the
Yeah.
beginning. And how'd that aesthetic begin to evolve as you learn more about your musical identity?
So it's interesting. Like in the beginning, to be honest, I was just trying to like make stuff that was popular, and that never works, and that's never the right thing to do. My heart and soul always. I mean, there was a moment where I was obsessed with tech house, and I am still obsessed with Fisher and Chris and their whole sound and like all those guys. John Summit, like, but I still, I mean, I guess I play that, but not really. Like, my two loves were tech house and like Afro tribal, like Tuluminati, for lack of a better word. And it just wasn't that popular. Like, I mean, it's popular in niches, and I didn't know that I
Yeah.
wanted to be in a niche. I was like, I need to be like everywhere, and I was like stretching myself so wide. Like even my agents were like, who are you like? And I'd be like, I could play with like Duke Dumont and Calvin Harris, or I could play with like Black Coffee. And they're like, okay, but like, what the hell? Like, and so now I'm like kind of refining it. And, I've spent so much time in Mexico and abroad in Europe and kind of other places and countries where like my sound now is what's cool there. America's kind of messed up and backwards. Not messed up, but they kind of like shittier music. I think, and
Let's call it late to the
late to the
game. I
game.
mean, America's always been late to the game. Like, I started going to parties in '99, and I remember looking at like Mixmag in '99 and seeing like, oh, they're like 6 to 8 months ahead of us in
Yeah,
everything, and that's just persisted
yeah.
forever.
So you get it. So you get it. So I always I love like the kind of like, I mean, Kind Music, perfect example. Literally my favorite group in the entire world, hands down. Obsessed.
Yes.
They, and like Mayan Warrior, like, I mean, Damian Lazarus, when I first like heard him and met him, like he inspired me so much. Like that whole sound, I just always loved it, but there really wasn't a market, and there still really isn't that big of a market in America. I am, it is coming along because look, I'm playing that stuff at my shows. I mean, there is a little give and take. Obviously, if I'm playing like a Vegas, I can't just do all like Afro house underground shit like I want to. So I understand the game, but it has become more predominant that I can play what I want to, even in America. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's kind of like I just was like, I'm not scared anymore. Um, and actually, my last show, God, 2 nights ago at Sound, was with Space Yacht and like Lee Foss and
Yeah.
Kason and Wednesday and a bunch of really cool artists. And I was the only one that played that type of music. Everyone was playing really cool tech house banger type stuff and repopulating stuff. And I played my Sam Blacky set, and it was all the Afro house driven and kind of minimal. Um, so yeah, I'm excited. That whole thing was recorded, so I'll put that set out. But that for sure, I think, is one of my favorite sets that I've done to this day. And I played all my unreleased music, all my own music, and that was the first time I was able to do that. And because I haven't had that much music and I haven't had that much music that I like.
Yeah.
So, you know, for an hour set, I can almost play 75% of it with my own music, which was a huge milestone for me. So,
That's awesome. I mean, I love to hear that not only have you come into your own sound, but you're feeling more confident in saying, hey, this is who I am now. And, you know, getting to that point where you can do you is says so much about you as an artist.
thanks. It's been a long time. A
That
lot
you
of
can like,
support, a lot of
yeah.
push from my managers and team and, you know, people close to me. Tucker was a huge support too. So,
Before I ask my last question, I want to talk to you about your Ingy
yeah.
remix because it's fucking fantastic. How did that come to be?
So, at the time, my manager, Miriam Peacock and Jack Minahan at Rain, I don't know, they didn't represent her yet, but I believe they do now. And Miriam is like young and hip and cool, like much more so than I am. And she was like, dude, this song is massive on TikTok. It like overnight got a million things. Like we're in contact with her and she is looking for a remix. She wants like either you or Sophie Tucker. And I was like dating Tucker at the time. So I was like, Tucker, back off. Like, this is mine. And he's like, yeah, whatever, take it. So I submitted like, I don't remember if I gave her like 2 or 3 like rough ideas, but we built it together kind of, and she liked it, she loved it, so we put it out, and it was awesome. She is just the most talented chick ever. I mean, it is ridiculous. She's like 21, blew up overnight. Like, I forget if she's studying finance or something at some Ivy League. Like, she's just the cutest human being, like tiny little angel who's so happy and smiley and this with the sickest like style and flow, and just she's so cool. I swear to God, she's going to be like massive, massive. I would love to work with her again. We have a couple demos together, but again, I don't really think it goes in alignment with my new, like my sound that I want to keep going. So I don't know. We'll see. I'm gonna give her some
Yeah.
stuff and see if she can do something with a more mellow beat. But that's not really her style. So we'll see.
I mean, you never know, though. People have done stranger
Well,
things,
yeah.
and if you've already worked together before, it could work out. That would be so awesome to see those two worlds
Well,
come
yeah, and
together.
it's cool too because she really can sing as well. Because I know she does a lot of spoken word stuff, but she can
Right.
sing. So
Love to hear it. So, before we start the speed run, I always like to end on this question. What excites you about the future of dance music?
that it's literally always changing. You never know what is going to happen. Literally, never. Like the next day, you don't know what's going to happen. You don't know who's going to come out. You don't know who's going to pop up. Sounds are constantly being just like new genres and new things. I mean, it's just so exciting. I mean, I literally, anytime a new song comes out from anyone, I'm like, this is so cool. Like someone created this out of nowhere. It's the coolest industry in the world to me. And the fact that there's no end in sight ever because music is like one of the most important things for humanity is just awesome. I love it. I love it.
So well said. And I must say, dance music lifers, that I like to call them, people that have decided to make dance music their life, are the absolute best
Totally.
people. So, you know, we started this conversation talking about Blog House and we ended on Afro House. If that doesn't like perfectly signify what you just said, I don't know what
Exactly.
else does.
Love it.
All right, so we're gonna ask some like odd questions now. Are you
Duh.
ready? All right. Favorite Mexican dish?
Habanero salsa. I could put it on anything. I'm going with
Oh.
that.
Yes, I love it. Would you rather swim in a pool full of Nutella or a pool full of maple syrup?
Nutella, 100%.
What was your first thought this morning?
That I need to take Mochi out, and I hope that he poops.
Did
Yeah.
he? Okay,
It was
good.
just so early. When I have to take early flights, he's like, "No, fuck you, it's too early." But he did it.
I know the type. The dogs don't like getting up early in the morning either. If you were forced, which would you rather do? Be forced to never hear your favorite song again, or be forced to play your least favorite song in every set
Least
forever?
favorite song in every set forever.
All right. Would you rather only be able to whisper or only be able to shout?
Whisper.
I mean, only being able to shout would make it really hard to talk
Exactly, bro.
shit. Favorite food to eat on tour?
Smoothies?
All right. I like that. It's
Yeah.
healthy. If I looked at your recently played tunes on Spotify, what would you want to hide?
Nothing. Nothing.
Good answer. Good answer. Would you rather be forced to sing along or dance to every single song you hear?
Damn. Actually, either. I love
Yes.
singing, even though I suck. I don't care.
It doesn't matter. Singing is fun, even if you suck.
Well, you know what? I'm gonna stick with my original one, dance, because a lot of the songs that I love don't even have vocals. So boom.
Perfect. What sound or noise do you love?
Ooh, my God, I love walking on like gravelly, loose gravel, like the crunch.
The little crunchy crunch? I like that. If you could pick any era of history to live in, when would you pick?
In excess times.
That is so on. That's so on point. And last, two more questions. What's worse, random people you haven't spoken to in years hitting you up for guest list, or a hangnail?
Hang now. I don't care about that. I don't care about that. You can hit me up. I'll put you on.
That's so nice. You're the first person to pick the hangnail and not the other people. I love it. I've asked that question at least 25
Oh my God,
times now.
that's so rude. I don't give a shit. You want to get on the guest list? Here you go.
Yes. And last question. Finish this sentence. House music
Everything.
is... Damn right. Well, thank you so much for taking the time out to speak to me today. This is a lot of fun. Thanks again for taking the time out. This was really
Of
great.
course. Thank you so much for having me.
No problem.
Okay.
Talk to you soon.
Thank you.
No problem. Bye.